right, everybody, we are live on YouTube, and right now we are starting our agenda review meeting with the Rochester City Council. Today is April 2nd, 2020, and as we are live on YouTube, we're currently sharing our live stream on our Facebook page as well. And once that is up, our staff member Katie Hasselwander will let us know, and we'll officially begin our agenda review meeting.
I'm linking to the Facebook right now. It's just taking a second.
All right.
Can you tell me what screen is showing? I see one person at a time. Is that the way it's set up?
If you'd like to change your own personal view and you're on your cell phone, you can swipe and that'll show you multiple screens. But the view on a cell phone defaults to what is called the speaker view. And so the speaker is the individual who's talking. So it will change based on who is speaking for your view.
Okay, thank you.
She should be able to see 4 people at a time.
Correct. Okay, Katie, are we on
Yep, it's
Facebook?
posting right now.
Perfect. So again, this is the City Council agenda review for April 2nd, 2020. And we will jump right into it. So the first item is introductory number 106, which is committing tax relief and retirement reserves. Does anyone have any questions on introductory number 106?
Can you just explain for me, I guess when you're talking about property tax relief, can somebody tell me what that means? Is that like when we give property tax relief to the elderly? What is that money used for?
So I can ask in our question if we can put a more detail about what the actual functionality of this would do. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, unless anyone knows.
It essentially impacts the level of any tax increase that we would have to otherwise apply.
Okay. Okay. And then retirement benefits is just like paying people's pensions?
That reserve, that fund, yes.
Okay, thanks.
Mitch, I saw you raise your hand. Do you have a question?
Yes, and now I'm unmuted, so that makes it easier. I'd just like to know what the surplus, what the available surplus is. Start of the second paragraph. And I'd also love to just get a sense of kind of where how that number has shifted, maybe the surplus of the last 3 years.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions on?
Jackie does.
Sorry, I don't know which way to do this. I'm raising my hand. So can we get a sense of how this will align or dovetail with the current situation we have going on with things the deadlines being pushed back or some other measures that might need to be taken as a result of less money coming in? Because it's hard because this is a surplus, yet we're going to probably have a deficit. So if we could just get a better sense of how this will work with what we may see coming down the road here, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, but it just seems hard we have a surplus, yet we know we're going to have issues what we're dealing with in terms of deficits. So.
Sure. I'll ask, how will this surplus align with the current fiscal situation?
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on introductory number 106?
Not a question on introductory number 126, but a general request. Can you hear me? Am I clear?
I can hear you.
So the general request is that I know a lot of the chairs had meetings. We may have had questions at those times. When you get to the item, could you read whatever questions we've already submitted for agenda review?
Certainly, I have them written in, and that was my plan.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to introductory number 107, which is the Firefighters Insurance Fund. Any questions on introductory number 107?
Yeah, I have a question. What is it, the complete fund balance now? And also, who's on the committee? Because that TPC, I assume, means
the 2% committee?
Yep, I will ask both of those.
I have a question. If council member Life was done.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. I'd like to know, what is the list of firehouse items listed in section G1G? I'm not familiar with that. And can I get a breakdown of what's included in the building expense? And then my final question is, how often is this audit done yearly? Or is it yearly? Is it every other year? How often will this audit be completed?
Okay. Any other questions on introductory number 107? Mitch?
Yeah, last year there was a lot of back and forth around dynamic staffing, around what were eligible and ineligible uses of the 2% fund. I'd like to know if there is full clarity of what are eligible and ineligible uses and where those are documented.
Okay. Any final questions on introductory number 107? Hearing none, I'll move to introductory number 108, which is the cancellation or refund of erroneous taxes and charges. Any questions on 108?
I have a question.
Councilmember Peel?
Why would the violations not been added to the taxes for the new owner if they're just transferring property ownership? The new owner of the building should be responsible for said violations or said fees and taxes, shouldn't they? Usually when you're purchasing a home, that's the issue when on the title work. If there's back taxes or any fees related, the new owner has to work with the old owner to pay it. So I guess my question is, why wouldn't the new taxes, or I'm sorry, why wouldn't the fee added on to the person who just purchased that building, the DWEF properties?
Didn't the administration answer that question in the supplemental information they submitted with this item? I'm just wondering, is that the case? PJ, anybody?
I don't know.
I haven't seen anything else, I don't think. Let me see.
It says the code violation charges should not have been added to the current owner's tax bills because the violations were committed by prior owners and the violations have been corrected by the current owner. But I still, that doesn't seem to be the way that it normally works.
It does also say that neighborhood and business development will seek a judgment against the former owner. So my assumption is that they still try to collect the violation fees from the former owner, but the new property owner is responsible for fixing the code violations.
So they fix the property, but they don't owe the money itself, the fines.
That would be my assumption unless let's ask the question so that we can get a formal response, but that would be my thought.
Okay.
Any other questions on 108?
I just have a question about, I don't know if I'm sorry if I'm cutting somebody off. Question about the total cancellations. So it says the total cancellations for 2019, 2020 for council, it's 148,000, some change, and administrative, it's 11,000. I'm just kind of wondering, like, the different accounts, what types of cancellations go into city council versus administrative?
So this, I believe, would count as a council cancellation because you have to vote on it. And I think
so it's the cancellations that we've approved. Okay. Got it.
Any other questions on 108? Moving on to 109, which is authorizing professional services term agreements for community engagement and associated technical services. Nothing on 109?
No, I have some. I may be missing it. I understand that the technical services when I read it. I guess on page 2 is the scope of the services. Am I understanding that correctly? 1 through 7? So it may not be, I'm asking you the question, BJ or somebody else. Is that 1 through 7? Is that the scope of the services that these people may potentially, because it doesn't sound like they'll be using each individual for them, it just as needed, I guess?
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah,
Okay, never mind.
that's correct.
Councilmember Gruber, you had a question on 109? You're also
Yeah.
muted.
A couple questions. I don't recall seeing this before in the last couple of years, and I'm wondering what. So essentially, I guess let me frame it this way. First, is this just putting these companies on retainer, and what is the how is cost structured? And 2 is why are we currently putting these? Why are we putting people on retainer for this function? I don't believe we've done it, at least in the last 2 years.
So I will ask if we've done this before in addition to that.
And I
Councilmember Lu-
suppose the last question, what if there are specific elements of community engagement that these 5 firms are not specialists in doing? Does it give us the flexibility to be able to bring in another company instead?
And my question is there a specific dedicated funding source for this item? And if it is, how much is it?
And so can I piggyback on that and ask, what is the cost savings, if any, to do it in this manner?
Hold on one moment while I get this in.
So I just want to say I noticed that the presentation of the bid information is a little bit different, and I think that added was the review team staff and the departments, and the rating sheet for the bids selected. I'd still like to see the bids that weren't selected, and potentially the positions of people on the review team. And I understand that maybe it's not something that can be presented in this format, but if I can see them, in person, I would appreciate that.
Okay. I'll move on to introductory number 110, which is redemption of general obligation bonds, 2008 Series B bonds, etc. Any questions on number 110? Okay, hearing none, that concludes the finance items, and we'll move on to neighborhood and business development. And we start with introductory number 111 in neighborhood and business development, which is the sale of real estate. Any questions on introductory number 111?
I have a question. When would we and why would we sell to someone instead of just auctioning it off to the highest bidder?
And I guess my question would be, how do we arrive at 8,200 for a sale price?
Any other questions on 111? Moving on to 112, the sale of 30 Mark Street.
I'm so sorry. I did have one other question. Is there a rule in there that would prevent them from flipping the home? can we instill a rule that would stop them from flipping the home and require them to rent it to low-income housing? Sorry, I'm late on that one.
Yeah, I guess kind of tangential to that question is, there are nonprofits who will rehab these houses and sell them to income qualified buyers. Is there a reason that we didn't approach one of them and that we're selling it to a private entity?
Okay. Moving on to 112, which is the sale of 30 Mark Street. Any questions on 112?
Can someone get us an update on the status of the school itself? Because last I knew, this school was closed unless something's changed. Why would you add on to a building with it, the charter school is closed? Again, unless there's been an update that I'm not aware of.
The
I
one
think
the
it's
one
no
closed
longer-
open choice, this one didn't close.
Right, this one did not close.
The one on Mark Street?
Jackie, it says the building formerly known as the PUC Achieve Charter School, that True North will operate a charter school servicing grades 9
Oh,
through
so the
12.
other charter school closed and a new one opened in its place?
That's what it
Yeah,
looks like.
Pucka Chief is the one that closed.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Can I ask what the use of the lot is for? Like specifically, is it to build additional classroom space? Is it for a playground? What's the purpose of this lot?
Okay. Introductory number 113.
Actually, I have a question. I have not necessarily a question, but just something to point out that two maybe potential inaccuracies. One is that it says it's to construct, we'll combine the lot with its adjacent vacant parcels and building and construct a 35,000 square foot addition, but then further down, it says 3,000 square foot. So I'm not sure which one that is. On page 3 of the construction cost estimate, it says the square footage will be 3,000. And then also the map that they used, those adjoining vacant properties have houses listed on them, but on Google Earth they are vacant. So that's just a note.
So I want to make sure I get that correct. What is the actual square footage?
Yeah, just they might want to correct the legislation. If
of
it's
the
saying
addition?
35 in one place and 3,000 in another.
And then the other piece was a comment about the Google Earth, correct? That was not a question.
The map that's used has has houses on the vacant land, but the houses are no longer there. So also a comment.
Okay. Introductory number 113, a lease agreement for 68 through 92 Genesee Street. Any questions on introductory 113?
How many, this is just out of curiosity, is this a standard thing for us to lease out space to businesses and city-owned properties, or is this just more unique to this business? Or, and if so, what other businesses do we kind of do this for?
Well, just real quick, this is the laundromat on Genesee Street on the backside of Bull's Head, the one that's been there forever.
Yep, I know where it
So
is.
this was a pre-existing business. We bought Bull's Head. They're looking, and basically they're just looking to continue that laundromat in that place. But it's still a great question to ask.
Is this still
Yeah,
part of
okay.
the book,
Yes.
the revitalization? What's gonna
Mhm.
happen to this in the long term?
Another great question to ask.
So BJ, you got my question?
Yes, I have
Okay.
for you, Councilmember Evans. Is this a standard practice to lease out space to businesses? Is it unique to this business? If we do it for other businesses, what are they? And then for Councilmember Harris, what is the long-term plan for Bull's Head? Number
Hold
114.
on a second. We've asked that question several times. It seemed like we've never gotten the answer to that, the long-term plan for Bull's Head. So can we really like emphasize that, that question's been asked?
Josanne, I'm putting it in bold.
Right.
So introductory number 114, which is the sale of 415 Orchard Street and 354 Whitney Street. Any questions on introductory number 114? Okay, introductory number 115, an agreement amending the Fisher Associates Bullhead Revitalization Project. Any questions on this item?
DJ, can I cram in one for 114 real quick?
Yep.
I just like an update on the plans for this particular brownfield. I know it's been something there's been a lot of talk and a lot of plans for many years. Just want a general update.
Okay. One moment.
So my question on 115.
One moment, please.
Oh, sure.
On 114, Councilmember Patterson also asked in his meeting, is the city going to be providing other supports to this business as they grow? And I did want to make sure that that got read into the record as well. So that was also for number 114. So now you can go ahead with your question on 115, Councilmember Loopy.
It seems like they're just, in this legislation, it's just expanding the term of the contract, but not additional money. And I guess I just want clarification on that.
There's additional money also.
Does it say that in the legislation?
Says it in the transmittal.
It says that in 2018 that there was an extra 105,000, but I don't see since then.
Let's get some clarification in, BJ, because that was one of the questions I asked during the chair's meeting. Funding. So if they got it wrong, it'd be good to know.
Okay. So introductory number URA-2, which is the neighborhood, which is the RURA performance measures and report. And there was a correction that came over on this, which changed, I believe, the Southwest staff, NSC staff to Northwest NSC staff, and you all should have received that correction. Any questions on URA-2?
Yeah, I have a question. I was just wondering if renewal plans and CFO deadlines have been met for this, and or have these actions been halted, or do the deadlines require an extension due to the COVID-19?
Okay.
I got a question. Are we not expecting any revenues? Is this going to be one of those types of organizations where we don't expect revenues, only expenditures of the initial money?
Can you rephrase that? I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand.
So in the budget, it states that we won't have any revenues for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, but we have expenditures coming out. So do we not expect any revenues from this type of organization? Or is it strictly, we fund it, we use it, we fund it again at the end of the year?
Could I just get a very brief explanation of what the RURA is and does?
We are going to have that as part of an upcoming work session. with our NBD quarterly work session, we're going to get a more full update on RURA. So I think that is already in the works. Councilmember Gruber.
Yes, on this is just to kind of firm up what Vice President Lightfoot had said on page, I guess it's page 3 under number 4. It says that we completed the quote visioning work for Bull's Head in 2019. I would love to see what the visioning work sounds like. It's completed. Seems like something we'd be able to take a peek at.
We received that, did we not?
It's possible. My brain is not what it once was. I'll grant you that, but I have not seen it in quite a while.
You did receive it, but I don't know when, so you certainly could receive it again.
Okay. Introductory number 116, the East Avenue Alexander Street Entertainment District.
My question would be, how much revenue do we expect to receive from the increase in fees? Or is that the 20,200?
That's the 21,200.
Okay.
Maybe I missed it. Can we also get, it says annual charge. Is this increase, decrease, or the same from the previous annual charge? Unless I missed it somewhere.
Introductory number 117, High Falls Business Improvement District. Moving on, introductory number 118, North Clinton, East Main, Culver Road Rental Housing Project. Any questions on 118? Number 119, Pueblo Nuevo 1 Affordable Rental Housing Project. Any questions on 119?
I'm sorry, BJ. I missed 118. This whole mute thing. I shouldn't mute myself. 118 on page 2, it says that there is a proposed $300,000 from the city of Rochester as part of the funding. So I guess I'm trying to understand, is that legislation that will come later, the request for $300,000, because there's no monies exchanged in this piece? Is that, when can we expect that, and is $300,000 the amount that's coming?
Okay. Introductory number 119, Pueblo Nuevo Affordable Rental Housing Project. Any questions on introductory number 119?
Is there a way that we could get more details on this, similar to what the CDS project in the Northeast did, where they came in and kind of explained it? As I'm very interested in it, just wondering if that's a possibility.
Okay. Introductory number 120, Liberty Lofts at Sibley Square.
I guess I have a question about, it says authorize a loan agreement for a permanent loan. I guess, does that get paid back? That's my question.
I should also note that Councilmember Patterson asked in his review, and we will expect a response. Please explain the difference between AMI and MFI. Vice President Lightfoot.
Yes, sir. It says here that they would be 53 targeted households with incomes at or below 60%. how are those households targeted? Like, how do people get an opportunity to take advantage of living in this facility?
Council Vice President, I think in that sense that it means that the 53 units will be specifically for people that are within that range. And
I understand that.
Okay.
But how do they target those people?
So how will they do outreach to get people
How do you
within?
find them?
Yes.
Also, it says at or below. Do they have any sub-targets? Like sometimes it'll be, you know, they're looking for 3 at 50% or, you know, 10 at 40%. Are there any subcategories? It's just at or below is the qualifier.
Can we also get a breakdown of the units that have already been occupied, what they ended up with? In terms of the qualifications, I'm sure they had goals initially set out the same way they're providing here with these units. Can we get a comparison of what the plan was for the units already occupied and where we landed?
Sorry, I was still typing another item, so I want to make sure I capture that correctly, Councilmember Ortiz. So can we have a breakdown of occupied units and the actual
Versus plan?
versus planned AMI for the residents? Okay. Introductory number 121, South Avenue Open Space District, LIO number 1740. Hearing none. We also have a held item this month in NBD, which is introductory number 76 and 77, which is the acquisitions of 56 Ayab Street, 2 Chance Street, 12 Chase Street, 12 Chase Street, 291 Sherman Street, 295 Sherman Street, and 301 Sherman Street. Councilmember Patterson has asked that we please provide a rendering of what the project is supposed to look like and what is the impact if we don't do this project. Are there any other questions to submit relating to 76 or 77?
Yeah, where did we land? I mean, we had a lot of discussion about why this got held. Did we come to a resolution?
Well, I can give you a quick little update. So where we are right now, I don't know if folks have this held item in front of them, but if you take a look at it, what's kind of interesting about it is that all of the properties that were proposed to be acquired have been acquired with the exception.
Can you talk into your mic?
Can you hear me now? A little closer,
Yes.
a little easier? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So all of the properties.
You're gone again.
Okay, well, all of the properties that were to be acquired have been acquired with the exception of 295, I think it's 295. And what is it? Number 2 Chase.
When you're not facing the microphone, we can't hear you.
So with the exception of number 2 Chase Street. Now.
Did you also say 295?
295 and number
Sherman?
2 Chase. Yep, 295 Sherman, number 2 Chase. Now, I don't know if you guys have this item in front of you, but if you do, you'll notice that what happens is they actually need those 2 properties. If they don't have those 2 properties, it's hard to do what they're trying to do. Now, what are they trying to do? What they're trying to do is create a play area for this school. This map doesn't give you an adequate sense of scale. If you get stir crazy and you have a burning desire to go outside, I would encourage you to drive around the project, Sherman Street and Otis Street. On the Sherman Street side, they have an enhanced bus loop that they've put in. They've got the curbs in there. They're getting ready to do that work over there. On the Otis Street side, that nice big open space is the parking lot. Quite frankly, my conversation with Commissioner Jones was, because he's the chair for facilities modernization, was like, I don't even know why you guys did this school. It is an extremely small site. And the response I got back from them is that, well, if at some point in time we're going to go to walkable schools and neighborhoods, that's why you do a school like this. Ladies and gentlemen, this school does not have a playground. The purpose of this project is to create a play space for this school. In addition to, and those other 3 lots that you have that are on Chase Street, which are 10, 6, and 4, are vacant lots. They've got the work trailers there. This is an extremely small space. From Ave Street back over to Sherman Street, there's not a whole lot of space there at all. In addition to taking those properties and raising them for a play area for the kids, the city is also looking to abandon Chase Street. So Chase Street would go away to create a full, not even a full play space, some play space for these kids. So the item's held until it isn't. But the concern and the issue is this: do we really want to have a school in the city of Rochester that doesn't have a play space? That's the question, because that's why we're doing this. And I would encourage everybody to remember that this isn't our project. It's Facility Modernization and School District's project. We're doing it because we handle the real estate acquisition for these guys. That's what we do. Our role as a city of Rochester. So
Did you say that again?
that's our role as the city of Rochester. We go about acquiring the property. Now, I do know that the real estate department has been reaching out to the 2 property owners at 295 and 295 Sherman and number 2 Chase. There were some conversations earlier. Apparently they're not responding now. I encourage them to continue to reach out to them to have a conversation, but the legislation is negotiation or condemnation. You know, look, this is a public use. This is a public purpose. We held it from last month. They're still talking. We pass the item now. It allows them to still continue talking. If the price goes up or something changes, they'll be coming back to talk to us. But I really think that this is something that we need to do. It's important.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my hesitancy last go round was that the sort of, it seemed that it was still in flux. And I would rather have it resolved. You said they're still talking. Well, if people have talked as much as they can and they're at a final number, we need to move it. It just didn't feel comfortable for me when it said, well, they would continue working with them. Well, why didn't you already work with them? And if you have, then it is what it is.
Are there any questions to submit for 76 or 77?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'd like to know for the remaining homes, do we have a final agreement? And whether, just like President Scott said, either they have agreed or not agreed to it, but do we have a final offer on the table that's been presented, and where do we stand?
Okay, I've written that specifically as, can we have an update on where the negotiations are for this project? So hearing no other questions on 76 and 77, we would move to Parks and Public Works. And our first item in Parks and Public Works is introductories number 122 and 123, the 2018 preventative group number 2 Alexander Street, Mount Hope Avenue to East Main Street and Scioto Street, East Avenue to Central Park. Councilmember Gruber did ask at his meeting that DES provide a key identifying what the colors on the map signify. And he also asked that they provide a short informational guide about bike infrastructure, a glossary of terms that identify the differences between specific types of bike infrastructure.
Mitch, you were reading my mind. Good work, brother.
Yeah, I have written on mine, what is green? Could we also get, it seems like there are these maps for the whole city, and is there a place that they're all in one area that we could kind of look at?
I
think-
have an overarching question or comment. It's sort of related to a point that Councilmember Ortiz raised at the outset as to how our actions are aligned with our present circumstance financially. And while most of the work in this committee, you know, it's street work and things like that, and it'll get done at some point, has it been considered where we're using cash capital, how that aligns with where we're going to be for operating budgets in the coming fiscal year? In other words, is there anything that we're doing that we don't have to do at this time? And if that is the case, how is that being determined? And how would that be reflected?
And I would just add.
Before we do that, I want to make sure I get it down correctly. I'm sorry.
So it's not a question. I'm just adding for the sake of council members. In my meeting with DES, I did specifically ask about essentially essential versus non-essential projects. The governor's office put out a mandate that construction projects need to stop unless they're considered for essential infrastructure. However, every single project that is done by municipality, no matter what it is, if it's done by a municipality, it is categorically considered essential. I do think that there's something that we as a council can think about in terms of what is actually essential versus what is ideal. And I think that some of what we'll see in this packet is that there's some very essential things, like the first two projects are really important street projects. There's other ones that we might deem a little bit less essential. So that's not a question. It's just kind of a little bit of background information for folks.
So Council President Scott, what I have written is, are there any projects that can be postponed at this time that are not essential given upcoming budget stresses? How will we determine these projects and share this?
Yes.
And then Councilmember Lupien, your previous question about maps. I'm not totally certain I understood, and I did not get a chance to write it down. So the maps that are included, what was your specific?
Right, so the maps that are included show bike infrastructure, and it seems like there are maps that they're including these maps a lot, and I'm just wondering if there's a central place where all of the maps are, if someone were interested in the city's bike infrastructure.
I think that they might be on the website that we shared with you with the bike piece.
Yeah.
But I can see if there's a specific link or place on the website where, is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I guess when I looked at the links you sent, I didn't necessarily see all of these maps like this. So maybe I'm wrong.
My guess is that these are the updated ones based on these projects. And so they wouldn't have been on the website yet.
Can we also ask how this is different or what additional work is being done? Because Alexander Street, being on it, had a huge update last year between that exact same stretch, if I'm not mistaken. And so I'm just curious, is what specifically are they doing on top of what was already done? And I'm pretty sure both of these streets were already done. So can they just give us some clarification as to what was not completed, or what, however you want to do that, that makes sense. But these streets were done last year. So I'm just trying to understand what we're doing now on these again.
Okay. So any other questions on that item? Moving on to 124, 125, and 126. It's the 2020 Preventive Maintenance Group 9, Hudson Avenue. Any questions on that item? I have, again, please provide a key identifying what the colors on the map signify from Councilmember Gruber.
I have a question. What, it says resident project representation services. What does that entail exactly?
Oh, it's one of the worst things possible. No, it's basically, from what I understand, and someone can correct me, is that we have to pay someone else to ensure that the work is getting done as we had planned. So someone else basically comes in and reviews the work while it's being done, and afterwards, that's a separate company that comes in to review. That's how it's always been explained to me, but
A plus, Jackie.
I was gonna say, you nailed it. That's exactly it. And you know what? Thank
Which
God that there's a.
and I hate this expense, because if we hire a company to do the work, you would think that they're professional and should be able to perform the work. But we hire someone to check the checker. You know?
Jackie, remember, it's road construction. So when you're done, you bury everything. You want someone there to stand and watch and make sure that they poured the concrete when it was warm enough, that they actually put in the concrete. You really need to do that.
Any
Well,
questions on that item?
That's what it is. Does that help you, Jose? Or Councilmember Pio?
All right.
Yes, thank you very much, Councilwoman Jackie Ortiz.
You're
Then I
welcome.
would move on to introductory number 127, pavement width changes, Carter Street and North Street.
Yeah, I have a question. It says they're just decreasing the pavement width. Why? That's my question. Why are they decreasing the pavement width?
You ready?
Councilmember Patterson?
Yeah.
Do you have a question?
No. I can answer a question. Let's take a look at the map. This is the issue that Loretta and I were working on for the last 3 or 4 years between, long story short, we've got a pretty successful market over there. We've got an issue with parking and it jamming up that whole intersection with the parking. They're reducing the pavement so that we won't have people.
Oh, you have to face the camera, unfortunately.
Okay.
We can't hear
So
when you do that.
they're reducing a pavement, so we won't have a problem with people trying to park there, and we can get people better directed to park over into the rec center parking lot and go to the store. This has been a huge problem for years, but ask the question, is still a good question.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Moving on to introductory number 128, 129, and 130, Lake Avenue Milling and Resurfacing Project for 2020. Councilmember Gruber asked if when and if there were any public meetings for this project, who attended them, and if there were minutes. Any other questions on 128, 129, or 130? Hearing none, we'll move on to 131.
Can I just
Hazardous.
stick something in? Sorry, before you start. Going back to 127, I believe it said it needed a public hearing, but on the committee agenda, it doesn't say that like it does for the others. Just wanted to point that out.
I believe that the clerk's office reissued a new agenda that updated that.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
we
I
did.
must have-
We did revise the agenda and that was emailed out.
Okay, must have missed that. Thanks.
And it'll be corrected on the committee meeting agenda too.
Okay. So 131, hazardous sidewalk replacement program, Northwest Quadrant. (132), the appropriation of Rochester Pure Water District Street Improvements Project. (133), a grant agreement for Waring Road improvements, Culver Road to Norton Street. (134), community development block grant infrastructure and playground improvements. (135) and 136, grant acceptance and appropriation for the NYS OPR HP Recreational Trail Program, City of Rochester CSX acquisition.
I have a question. Are we receiving any funding from Irondequoit, considering some of this is in their area and it will help their area?
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move on to introductory number 137, an agreement with Bergman Associates for the vacuum oil BOA River Trail.
I have some questions. So is any of this money coming from the brownfield money? And I know this is just for the, what is it, the design, but for construction of this, where will the money come from? So it's one question.
So do you want to ask what is the funding source for the construction?
Yeah, and for the design. I just want to, yep. And two, if they could provide an update on the Plex Park that it looks like it goes through, and related to that also the remediation. What's the status on that?
The remediation of the park?
The whole it's a brownfield area, right? So what's the status on the remediation, and what's the status, so separately, the park, I know they had done some public input with the neighborhood to the design of the park, and just wondered if they could give a status update on that.
I have a question. How do we determine the compensation? I always feel as though the amount is pretty exorbitant. So how do we come up with that $100,000 for someone to design something that the community has pretty much already designed?
Any other questions? Introductory number 138, grant acceptance and appropriation from Rochester Gas and Electric for David F. Gant R Center generator.
Yeah, I have a question, BJ. It says here that the David F. Gant R Center serves as a warming and cooling station and shelter that is an integral part of the city's overall plan for resilience and redundancy during these events. Is this the only facility that we use for these contingencies, for these emergency type situations? Is my question.
I think that the facilities that we use are all of the ones that are listed when we do cool sweeps and heat. Remember in the summer how we have cool sweeps?
Do they all have a generator?
That's a good question. Do all of the,
Hey, Will, just to chime in, I think the answer is probably no. And a specific example that everyone will give is that when there was that windstorm 3 years ago now, the Gant R Center was the only one that stayed open as literally a shelter for people who had lost power. And my guess is that anytime there's an emergency like that, Gant will be the first one that's used. And hopefully we're never in a situation where we need to have multiple shelters open at once for literally like emergency housing.
Well, I'm thinking we never thought we'd be in COVID-19 either. So I'm thinking we have to start thinking a lot differently. So if we got one on one side of town, we maybe need to be considering what does it look like to have additional facilities. I know all of the firehouses have generators, but they will be probably for first responders. So for the public, I'm just interested to know if we have any other, or if we're thinking down the road about having additional emergency shelter facilities with generators.
so I've asked, do all the warming and cooling stations in the city have backup generators? Is that appropriate? Okay. Introductory.
But part two of that is, if not, why not?
Okay. Introductory number 139, Rochester Gas and Electric Corporation for an amendatory agreement with Labella Associates for the Rundell Library Structural Terrace Improvement Phase 4 project. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. Now the project is already underway. So what would be the $20,000 for if we already amended it, it's already designed, and the project is already underway? What are we paying another $20,000 for?
So this is the receipt and use of funds from RG&E. So I think we are receiving
We're getting money.
We're getting money to be able to do it. So RG&E is giving the city the money and we have to approve the receipt of it. And then we have to approve the use of the money that they give us.
And it's basically for some extra lighting touches on the building, which is why RG&E is giving it.
So the next item we have is introductory number 140. It's a local improvement ordinance for street lighting enhancement special district, or I'm sorry, street lighting enhancement special assessment districts. And Councilmember Gruber asked in his meeting if we can have in writing how an area can become a special assessment district.
My question, just to clarify, this is an amount of money split by the neighbors in that special assessment district. Is that correct?
That's right.
Thanks.
I would also say that we did have a work session early on special assessment districts. There is some documents, I'm sure that are out there that maybe want to be shared with the new council members as well.
Okay. Introductory number 141 is an agreement for Rock the Riverway CSX Transportation, Inc. Design services for St. Paul underpass improvements. Any questions on that item? Okay, hearing none. The next item is a tweener. I believe that they were, if you don't have them in person with you, they were just emailed out. So that is introductory number 148. It should be a dark blue dot, and it is amending ordinance number 2020-74 McGee Avenue Rains Park Improvement Project. Any questions? The next item is also a tweener. It's an orange dot. This is the care and embellishment of street malls. Any questions on 149? 150 and 151, a green dot, is a local improvement ordinance for streetscapes. Any questions on 150 or 151? Okay, number 152 is a local improvement ordinance for the Downtown Enhancement District 2020 through 2021. Any questions on 152? It is a light blue dot. Okay, that's the legislation in Parks and Public Works. So we would then move on to Public Safety, Youth, and Recreation. And the first item we have there is introductory number 142, a code amendment for section 108 relating to taxi cabs. Any questions on this item?
I have a question. I like to know, what do we do for training now for the cab drivers? How often? And has any of the training been affected by the COVID-19 this year, the schedule? And then are there any extensions offered to their licenses offered during the COVID-19 crisis? And my final question is, what is required for the Uber and Lyft drivers?
I can answer your last question.
Okay.
Uber and Lyft is regulated by the state. We can't say boo-boo to the Uber and Lyft drivers.
Okay.
So, and which kind of brings me to.
I can't hear you.
Which brings me to a concern that I have regarding taxi cabs. We are regulating a bunch of folks who have serious competition that is effectively unregulated by the city of Rochester. It is my hope that at some point in time in the near future, we could sit down with the various taxi cab organizations and have a conversation with them about some manner or form of deregulation. Plain and simple, folks, it ain't fair. They're getting their heads kicked in every day. Anybody with a car and a driver's license can be an Uber Lyft driver and get out there and go compete with these guys. Meanwhile, every taxi cab has got to have a special license. You got to know the city. We make you take a class on how to wash your butt. We make sure you have to have a little yellow light on the back of your car. They have a higher insurance standard. It's just flat out not fair. We can and we should do better by the folks who are willing to do cash runs for folks because everybody doesn't have a credit card. Okay. There's a market segment that they serve that Uber and Lyft does not serve. We should be able to make their business, that we should find a way to make them competitive. And I think that starts with a conversation with them to ask them, how do we make you competitive?
Councilmember Patterson, I'd like to make sure that we share the information because we've worked on this for a number of years. And I've sat down, there's only one organization really. I've met with them a couple of times, and the last time that we met, it was left at they would be getting back to us about additional regulatory changes or what have you. I've not heard from that gentleman in probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah, so we can certainly share with our council colleagues an indication of where we've gone with this, the work we've done on it. And we've always been open to sitting down to see what we could do with it. One of the biggest issues that they were faced with, though, also had to do with insurance, which is not regulated by us.
No, it's not.
That big hole in their revenue is insurance. And I don't know, Councilmember Ortiz, if you have any inkling of how that works, but for some reason the way that is scaled, it's different from other kinds of occupations. But
Yeah.
we're open to continuing to work with him. But as I said, I've not heard from that gentleman again since then. His last set of concerns had to do with the parking in front of Norton Steakhouse. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
I would ask quickly the city clerk. I know that you do a lot with the licensing for cabs. Would you be able to field that question now? Has any training been impacted by the COVID-19 outbreak, and are there extensions being offered to licenses?
I'll have to get back to council on that. I'll look at the last time we updated. I know we lowered the fee. It might have been in 2018, but I'll have to go back and check that information and I can share it with council.
Okay.
Can we also get an update just in general as to where we stand with cabs and the licenses? I suspect that it's significantly reduced year over year. And if we could just get an update as to where we are now, that would be helpful. And to answer your question for insurance, it's a really sensitive situation because obviously with cabs, they have livery insurance. That's exactly what it is. And so they obviously have a very special insurance that is very pricey, as you stated, President Scott. And Ubers, Lyfts, all of those, many people are still operating under their private insurance, but it is not covered if you have an incident while you have your app on until off. So while you're in service, your private passenger insurance, which is private passenger insurance, based on your contract, if you are doing this, you have essentially now gone outside of the contract obligations. So it does not cover during that time frame. So people are recommended to ensure that they are covering themselves with those gaps through directly Uber and Lyft, who are supposed to be offering gap insurance, if you will, during that time frame. I suspect many are not doing that. And so it is very important. We as a company, just so that you know, have applied to the state for what's called a TNC endorsement. New York State has not approved us as a company to be able to provide that gap ourselves. And so I can only suspect that our company, along with many others, do not have that. We don't. And if the largest company in the US doesn't have it, I can't suspect anyone else does. But I can't say for sure because I don't work for any other company. But it is definitely a very sensitive situation because a lot of people, number one, aren't disclosing they're doing these types of things. And if you are a current customer, as long as you are quote unquote not doing this more than 51% of your driving time, you are not getting canceled. But if you are trying to get a new insurance and you disclose that up front, you are not eligible.
Jackie, I have a question in regards to that insurance. As a passenger, how are you covered if they are not, if you get in an accident in an Uber vehicle and they're not covered during that time, how are you protected?
You're not.
Okay.
You are, as that passenger, You hope that you have your own health insurance secured or what have you, but it is definitely, I'm sure, a legal battle that people will have to undergo if something severe were to happen. But so that's just kind of give you a little bit. I'm more than happy to get people more information on these type of things, but it is definitely a very sensitive situation given the private passenger contracts that all insurance companies have with their customers.
Does anyone have any other questions on 108? I'm sorry, on 142 regarding section 108?
Just a little info real quick. Safeco sells the gap insurance, and as a passenger, allegedly the rideshare companies cover you when you're in the car, but yeah, good luck with that.
Right, the companies themselves are supposed to cover you, right? But you have to, I'm pretty sure you have to purchase that, just so you know.
Introductory number
Councilmember
143.
Ortiz,
Yes,
Councilmember Ortiz, I can get you an update on those numbers.
great, thank you.
So introductory number 143 is the Petco Foundation Animal Services Grant. Any questions on 143? Introductory number 144 is the receipt and use of funds from United States Department of Justice. Any questions on introductory number 144? Introductory number 145, and I want to make a quick note on 145. In your initial packet, a piece of backup from another item was accidentally stuck into this, which I think we have taken out, or which should have been taken out. It didn't impact the legislation. It appeared with the item it was supposed to, but it also came in this by mistake. So just if you see that item that is not associated with 145, you can take that out. And again, introductory 145 is an agreement with the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals for the Animal Population Control Program grant. Does anyone have any questions on 145?
I do. What is the criteria to be eligible for this grant? That's my first question, and I'd like to know how many residents took advantage of this grant last year.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move to 146, which is the Public Market Snow Removal and Security Services. Any questions on 146?
I'm just wondering if there's been conversations about having some of the property owners and business owners around the market contribute to this at all, or if the city pays for it all on their own.
I ask that again. What do you ask? What did you ask?
As so many businesses have popped up on the perimeter of the market that stay open off market hours, I'm curious to know if they are responsible for any of the, for contributing towards the security and snow plowing.
I'm trying to recall, because I think those are commission houses, and that they do also have an assessment.
They certainly were originally commission houses, but a lot of them are you know, as they're bars and restaurants now. I wonder, those businesses can only function and thrive with the security and snow plowing that happens. I'm not recommending that they pay for it, or even I'm questioning. I want to know how it's structured now with the business owners.
Mm-hmm.
So you're asking, are any businesses in the area of the market but not on the market property proper included in the assessment?
No, including the buildings on the market proper. Like, for example, where Fiorella is, for example, that is on the market proper. That is owned by a private, it's a private business owned by a private business person. And I want to understand, are they responsible for contributing to this or not?
So our last piece of legislation for tonight is introductory number 147, a grant agreement and donation for Rock City Skate Park. Any questions?
Yes, I have one, BJ. I believe that the additional dollars was meant to be an add-on to phase 1 of the skate park. And I'd like to understand how the design of this add-on, I'd like for us as council to be able to see what the add-on looks like and what it means.
So what does the add-on, or could you, a rendering of the add-on, or what specifically?
Let me think of a way. Let me think of how I want to phrase it, and I'll send you a quick email with it.
Okay. And
Going back to 146, Councilmember Gruber, isn't your question answered in the ordinance? Are you talking about the privately owned properties adjacent to the market?
Yes.
you're on,
So that's what this is addressing. If you just read through the LIO,
Okay. So that's the fee that each property has to pay to contribute.
yes, and there are 15 of them, which would include those properties that you're asking about.
Gotcha. I guess then let me change the question. Thank you for that, Loretta. I would just ask about the properties, the businesses on Railroad Street, and specifically if they are involved in this at all. If it's just properties, just businesses and properties on the market proper.
okay. And then you will send the wording on your question for 147 to me, correct? Okay. So that concludes the agenda review for the Rochester City Council for April 2nd. And we will be ending our live stream shortly. Thanks everyone for attending, and our meeting is done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good
Goodbye
night.
all.
Good night.
Are we able?
Oh, one moment, we're still on live here, I think.
Okay.
Katie, are we off live stream?
I'm ending it right now.